And we're back. Sorry about that. That was really weird. So yeah, that was our impression of garrisons. Um, I so whether they're required or not, I'm generally excited for them. I think the idea of having my own house, my own little mini Ogrimmar that I can come home to and tell other people what to do and make them risk their lives for a week at a time to come bring me a pair of pants. Sounds really
That's right.
awesome. But yeah, when they said they were leaving it only to Shadow Moon Valley and Frostfire,
Mm,
yeah, Frostfire Ridge, that's what it is. Yeah, when they said they were only bringing it to those regions, yeah, a little bummed because I wanted to hang out in Shadow Moon Valley with all the Night Elves and Draenei, but whatever. I remember hearing somewhere they said that maybe later on we'll be able to move them. So that just makes me think it's maybe a time constraint for them having the ability to move your garrison from place to place.
maybe. In either case, I'm okay with it being stuck in the starting zone. For one thing, it would give high level players a reason to go back to the starting zone periodically,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to like right now, you get out of Jade Forest and you only ever go back if you need
Your
something
Cloud
from
Serpent
there.
rep.
Yeah, or like in my case, I go and I herb rain poppies from
Yeah.
there, and that's it.
Well, I feel like there's going to be more exploration in general because they've said so many times that the world is going to be more like the Timeless Isle, not necessarily just stuff everywhere, but you'll be able to explore nooks and crannies and find treasure and stuff like that. So that could give you a reason to just be out in the world doing stuff. More rares to kill, stuff to earn. There's still going to be bonus loot, so you're going to have to get some kind of coin for bonus rolls. I'm glad Blizzard likes that and they're keeping that.
Yeah, I do. I do like that system when it gives me loot. Otherwise, it sucks.
Terrible system unless you give me what I want.
That's
Blizzard.
right.
And that seems to be everyone's point of view. Blizzard, you're not doing what I want. I hate your game. Oh, you're changing. I love you, Blizzard.
Right? Oh, now you're doing what I want. You're amazing.
And then someone else in the corner. Well, now you're not doing what I want. I quit. You can't please everyone, and Blizzard does their best. That's for sure.
No, they do a really good job of keeping the game going. I mean,
It's 10 years old this year.
yeah, it's 10 years old now, and it's still the best MMO on the market. I
Right.
mean, as far as my opinion, and just in subscription numbers, to my knowledge, it's still the most subscribed.
Well, and
Yeah, by far.
I don't know if I'm the only one to do this, but when a new MMO comes out, with Elder Scrolls, with back when SWOTOR came out, with Arcade, all of these MMOs, if it doesn't live up to a WoW standard in my mind, it's like I don't want to play it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's going to be almost impossible to find one that can do that because, again, WoW's 10 years old now, so they've had all that time to polish and expand and make things better, whereas you get one that's coming straight out of the box, it's not going to be that good.
Yeah. I think the only thing that will really truly surpass WoW will be Blizzard's next MMO, if that ever comes out.
Yeah, that seems to be the popular opinion is only Blizzard will surpass themselves.
Worlds of StarCraft.
Or if they take
Galaxies.
yeah, StarCraft
Galaxies
Galaxies.
of StarCraft. StarCraft Galaxies. You can be a dancer. You can be a musician. Oh, good. This sounds familiar.
I think some people at Sony Online Entertainment would be a little upset about that.
Just a bit. And then they'll revamp the entire game and everyone will leave.
Yep. But I think the only thing that can really knock WoW down is not releasing Warlords of Draenor, which is the next topic I really wanted to talk about here. Is Warlords release date? Where is it? Last year at BlizzCon, they said they were further along than they've ever been in an expansion cycle. But here we are, almost a year into Siege of Orgrimmar, which they know nobody likes raiding a place for a year at a time. And we don't even have the beta out yet. What do you guys think?
If the beta comes next month, like you predict, we're going to need at least 4 to 6 months before we actually see a release, which would also coincide with what you said at work about um, after BlizzCon this year.
Yeah, that's the big thing. If since we're already looking at a fall release, what's BlizzCon going to be about here? So either we have a BlizzCon, the Warlords will release before it, and BlizzCon, what would we talk about? Wow, it's not like we're going to jump right into the next expansion from Warlords being just released, or it will release post BlizzCon, and it'll be another BlizzCon about Warlords. Either way, it kind of has me concerned that I spent $200 to either not talking about an expansion or talk about an expansion I've already talked about.
Yeah, with how it's going with BlizzCon, I'm not sure. I think as far as beta and release goes, I think they're going to do a shorter beta than they've done before, and they've already talked about that it's going to be smaller.
Mm-hmm. Well,
And
you had everybody who had a credit card play the Mesa
yeah,
Pandaria beta.
yeah, everybody was in that. No, like immediately, no big deal, whatever.
Yeah.
So I think with them saying they were farther along, I'm inclined to believe that they were, and I think they're just when it hits beta, it's going to be more polished and more done than they have been in betas previously. So it'll already be farther along when it starts, and then they'll do a shorter beta, and it'll get released. I think that they might do even just a 3 or 4 month beta, and it might be good to go.
I mean, I could very easily, if it does come out in June, it could very easily come out in September. I could see a September release right around the same time as the Pandaria came out. A 2-year anniversary, here's the expansion. But that would mean we'd have to have 6.0 in August.
Yeah, that is true. 6.0 would have to be real soon here comparatively.
So
It could be.
maybe October. But I just,
So, if it does come out before BlizzCon, what are they going to talk about at BlizzCon for WoW?
well, I had a theory that this is kind of out there as far as theories goes, but what if Blizzard is putting all the changes, all these, because there's so many like system changes coming with Warlords. They've talked about the whole engine is changing in a way, the file system is changing, new character models, all this and that. So what if Draenor content-wise is smaller than other expansions we've seen in the past, and we could have within a year another expansion, and this one be really lore focused, really big, really. And I've thought about this more, and you think, how far could the storyline go in Draenor anyway, without changing all of WoW's history? So it could be a short little go in, get Garrosh, come out to the dark below, or
Yes.
it's just a theory, maybe.
Yeah,
crazy.
well, no, I had heard, I think I even read somewhere, but I can't recall where, that they were wanting to move into a yearly expansion cycle, which would feed if Warlords comes out September-ish, and then so you have a BlizzCon about the next expansion, and then it comes out next September, and they keep that cycle going.
That would definitely be interesting, but almost
Yeah.
that could lead to spoilers as well. Like, well, we already know this is what's going to happen in a year from now. Why do we care?
Based
about
on what the
lore?
next expansion is. Yeah.
It's tricky. It's tricky.
Yeah. And like you were saying, with all the system changes they're doing, I feel like the item squish, the gear dynamically changing based on if you're in PvP or PvE or what role you're in, that all lends itself to a faster schedule as well.
Yeah.
It's easier to make those changes and add something real quick. And so this could be a smaller expansion. There's not as many tiers of rating. There's, like the first tier and then maybe just one other tier, and then they are going into the next expansion, and you have a few big lore reveals, and yeah, we're back out.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. And what I've seen so far of the next raid tier is it's gonna be huge. Just the first raid alone, we've only seen the map of Blackrock Foundry, and it's massive, and it's wing based again, and there's going to be
Yeah, it's
attunements,
awesome.
attunements to bosses, and
Awesome.
all that stuff. From they're bringing back the Burning Crusade. Come on,
Glory
it's okay.
days. Woo.
But they could make this raid tier really hard, and make it last longer, so people aren't just rushing through normal, then clearing through heroics, and then slamming their head on the wall waiting for the next patch. Maybe.
Well, if you've got somebody that's doing that they're playing like those world first guilds and stuff, who they basically play around the clock to get the world first kills.
Mm-hmm.
That's they get the kill in, woohoo, good job. Then they're sitting there waiting on the next thing. That's their fault essentially, because they're rushing through it as fast as they possibly can, and then they're bored.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm not opposed to them making some of the content harder. I mean, compared to vanilla raids, even the easiest, even Immersius, who's like super easy,
Yeah.
is a hard boss compared to mechanics in some of the vanillas, which was mostly just tank and spank and kill as fast as you can.
Except when you talk about Twin Emperors or Twin Emperors.
Yeah, obviously some of them did have some actual mechanics, but I personally didn't raid a lot back then, but I have heard from others who did that it was mostly people remember it with nostalgia,
Yeah.
and but it was mostly very basic gameplay, but everybody loved it because that's all there was. That's all they knew.
Yeah. But the biggest thing, I think, going back to Warlord's release date, and this has been mentioned other places as well, if Blizzard waits too long, we've already heard in the first quarter of 2014 that they lost 200,000 subscribers. If we don't see beta in quarter 2, that they're going to lose even more, and even more so in quarter 3 of this year. And I know Activision's not going to like that, but I really think it could hurt their subscriber numbers to not release it until after BlizzCon.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like it's weird talking about WoW subscriber numbers though, because they could lose they're at like 7 point something million subscribers right now.
Yeah.
They could lose 6 million subscribers and still have more subscribers than any other MMO right now.
It's true, yeah, and you think when you look at the demographic too of where they're losing them from, it's a lot of, I think it's on the Eastern realms, the Asian realms that they've lost the most.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, a lot of people out there, they're thinking 200,000 subscribers are gone. WoW's dead. Oh
Right.
my god.
Well, and that's compared again to other MMOs, because other MMOs, if they maintain over like 500,000, they're considered really successful.
Yeah.
And Blizzard is at
7 million.
7 million. What, that's
Almost 8, yeah.
A lot of people look at League of Legends numbers, for example, and try to compare them to WoW, but you can't do that. It's a totally different type of game.
it's free. It's totally different.
So your 20 million subscribers, you can stop rubbing that in people's faces, Ghostcrawler. I see you picked that company for that reason.
Ghost Crawler.
No. Yeah, I just don't want it to be, I don't know. I just think I'm thinking more on a financial side for Blizzard. I mean, they make a lot of money based on how many subscribers there are. You don't want to see Blizzard go under. Not that they would, but they could still see a good loss, though, out of it. In which case could cause Activision to come in and with their over authority of Blizzard saying, "Mer, change something."
They make over $100 million a month just from subscription fees. They aren't in any danger.
That's very true. But if they aren't losing money, why were the BlizzCon tickets more expensive?
Because they know you would pay it.
Because another company is selling them and they have to give them a cut too.
Oh, that's very true. Didn't even think of it that way.
which sounds like it didn't go as well as they were hoping with the other company.
I know you didn't, David. Did you try Jake for BlizzCon tickets this year?
I was working both times,
Oh, okay.
and it would have been not smart for me financially right now.
Yeah, it was the first night didn't get in at all because Eventbrite was so confusing. I realized once I clicked the buy it now button that it wasn't going to take me in right away, so I repeatedly clicked it, realizing that that was repeatedly refreshing my place in the queue to buy a ticket.
Yeah, I
but-
heard of some other issues too, where it would say, like waiting or whatever, and people, and you're supposed to, if it says you're waiting, you're supposed to kind of get in, but people that went out and went back in would get in when the people that were waiting still weren't.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what that was about. I think it was people who would get in and then change their minds because they were in a group of people, for instance. So, hey, their friend got in, so I'll just leave. And since only one of them was going to pay for it, kind of a thing. And so then opened up another spot, someone else hopped in and took it. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I think
and
people... Go ahead.
okay, yeah, and another thing I heard some people talking about were like, say someone was waiting for 3 tickets, and someone that was going to buy 2 dropped out.
Yeah.
It would skip over them because they're like, oh, there's not 3 available. Let's go to the next
yeah.
person.
Yeah.
And so it would have to be another group of 3 for them to get it, even if they're next in line. Instead of saying, here's 2, let's
Yeah.
wait for another 1 and giving it to them, it was doing it by group instead of adding groups together for people.
Interesting.
And that was just something I heard. They were talking about it on Convert to Raid, I think.
Yeah.
That was something that was going on.
Well, and like they said on that show, I think people who didn't get tickets were having a bad day that day. But when you think about it, it could be a number of different things. But there's limited tickets, limited ways to get them. So, and they sold out really fast. So, 20,000 people had a pretty easy time in Eventbrite, apparently.
Yeah.
And as far as the event, the special event dinner being $750 per ticket, I don't know how quickly those sold. I assume they sold out. I actually haven't heard.
I bought all of them.
Oh, rich
Yeah.
man David.
I think
Yeah.
I think
Pocket change.
There
pocket
might still be
change.
some of those left. I think. I'm not sure.
I mean, I thought $500 last year was a hefty price. So to raise it up to, I mean, I know it's for charity, supporting a good cause, but
And how good is that food? That better be some really good food.
the friend I went with last year, he went to the benefit dinner and he said the food was not fantastic.
I mean, because I'm thinking
It was
like
McDonald's.
it has to at least be like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse quality, right? Which is like $100
Yeah.
a plate.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. That's still, $400 or $500, $600 to charity.
this year I want someone with a violin at every table. I mean, $750,
I want a personal magician doing tricks just for me.
right? I want to kiss Chris Metz's shoes for this price.
Do they give me a date?
Yeah. Well, it's for a good cause, so I think at least a good amount of people bought them. I hope 3 people.
Yeah, I mean,
didn't buy 'em.
if I had the money, I would do it. Like,
You're right,
I
yeah.
wouldn't care. But
I'd love to sit down and have dinner with Mike Morheim. They're
Right?
great
Oh.
people. But at the same time, last year while my friend was at the benefit dinner, I was out at the Wowhead / Game Breaker / Zam party, and that was a lot of fun. A lot of the Blizzard community was there, so a lot of the community managers went
the
to
Blizzard community is skipping out on their own charity dinner. They charge people for to go to that.
that. Yeah,
People are seeing them for free instead.
Yeah, because there's a lot more alcohol at the other party.
Right.
Yeah, that was a blast. So definitely looking forward to the community event this year. Hopefully, I know one other people from Epic Geeks is going. Hopefully, we can meet up there. Let's see, there was another thing I wanted to talk about. What was it?
Was it
Oh,
the gear being able to be upgraded more?
Kind of. Not about Miss Pandaria, but about Draenor gear. They recently came out and talked about how Raid Finder gear is not tier gear. Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Much needed change, in my opinion. I don't think you can get the good trinkets out of there either. What do you guys think?
To my understanding, LFR is all different gear. It's an entirely different loot
Completely
table.
different set.
Well, from my understanding, each tier is even going to have different artwork.
Yeah, because people for the last two expansions have kind of been complaining that the gear design has gotten a little lazy. So now they're going to forward all their lazy artwork to the LFR gear, and then each tier, like you said, it will look different. And the mythic level gear, they said, is going to look very mythic, which they want to go back to the whole that people seeing someone and wow, he's got really cool shoulders. I want to get those. How do I get those? So encourage people to actually go out and do real raiding and not LFR.
Yeah. As far as like LFR not having the set bonuses, I don't particularly have a problem one way or the other if they do. But I was listening to Azeroth Roundtable, and they had an interesting idea. If I can talk, maybe I can.
They had an interesting deer. It was
Yes,
telling
they
jokes.
did. It ran by, and that was it. No, but what if the LFR did have the set bonuses, whatever, but it didn't apply to higher tiers? So if you went into normal, heroic, or mythic with LFR gear, it wouldn't provide the set bonus with that tier's gear. So you could have that when you're in LFR or just out in the world, but if you want to have it in the other tiers, you actually have to have that tier's gear.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah.
Because
That
then you
would
could
work.
still have the cool little bonus, because some of the bonuses are really fun and just cool to have. And you can have that when you're out doing, world stuff, whatever the equivalent of the Timeless Isle will be. And you can still have those cool little things. But if you want to have it available for real raiding, you've got to get the real raid gear.
That's actually a really good idea. Unfortunately, I don't think that's how Blizzard's doing it, but I really like the sound of that.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are upset because LFR is their only source of content. They feel like they don't have time to do anything else, so they just do LFR. They want to be equal to everyone else. But when you look at LFR this time, you could clear through flex rating a lot faster than you could clear through LFR. LFR's gotten really out of hand. It's kind of a toxic community in there. And if you ever try to do Flex Wing 4 of Siege of Orgrimmar right now, or excuse me, LFR Wing 4, you're going to be in there wiping for hours longer than heroic progression before you decided to give up.
Yeah, which is why I always laugh when someone cites that I don't have time to do real raiding.
Yeah.
It takes longer to suffer through LFR than it does to actually form a real raid group and just go do it.
And I think it's really interesting that, I mean, they've said... They've really said it's going to be easy mode, tourism mode, and another thing that is upsetting people, but I think it's good. It's just going to be a way to let people who want to see the content see the content. You'll be able to clear
Which
the
is what
bosses.
it was supposed to be from the beginning anyways.
And,
right.
and Dragon Soul LFR, I don't know like how far back you guys remember. It wasn't too long ago, back in the day of...
I skipped Cataclysm.
Oh, okay, yeah. But LFR was working out great, I thought, at first. It was a cool idea. People weren't so toxic about it, and it wasn't as hard either.
See, now it's mostly give me my free gear. I want it now. I don't want to learn how to do this. Let's just face roll until we get enough stacks of determination, and we can kill it.
And that's what it's going to be. But without the determination, it's just going to be here, go in, kill stuff, and you're done. And if people want the better gear, then they have to raid, and that's what Blizzard wants. That the epic gear is for epic content, and so the group finder, I think, is so cool. If you have OQ already, the add-on, then you already know what it's like to have this accessibility into finding groups. But with it being natively built into WoW, being able to cross-realm raid, finding a group at any time, I think that's going to be really helpful for the raiding community.
Speaking of, do we know? I haven't heard. Is the cross realm raid thing continuing on in Warlords, or is that just what they did for now for Siege of Orgrimmar?
Oh no, it's going to be fully cross realm up to Mythic. Mythic's
cool.
going to be how it is, but then there's going to be Normal and Heroic, which are going to be fully expandable from 10 to 25, or was it 30? I heard somewhere that they were increasing the amount of players to 30.
I had heard that as well. So at some point,
Yeah, same here.
So that would be interesting. But yeah, I like that Normal and Heroics, you're going to be able to flex. So your friends and family guild or your kind of average progression guild, like our guild, we're just kind of at a clear through phase of Siege of Orgrimmar right now, and kind of hitting our heads on Garrosh. But for this is great because we always kind of tend to either have not enough or one too many people, so someone's sitting out. But with this flexible option and the group finder, those problems are going to be gone, and that's awesome. Yes. Anything else to comment on that, fellas?
No.
You guys think it'll be good overall?
Yeah, as far as the flex tech going into even the normal and heroics, definitely. And then the mythic, strictly 20 people. That's going to be an entirely new number that we all have to adjust with. And we started with 40 and 20, and we've been off of 20 so long.
Yeah.
Most of us don't even know what 20 was.
I really liked the blog series that they did, going back through each raid tier and examining it, because it really helped you put it into perspective where raiding started and how far it's come. And after reading that, I was a lot more at ease with the whole 20-man mythic thing, because at first I was like, oh no, everyone's going to have to either dump 5 people or find 10. But it really makes sense to me. It's the hardest difficulty. You're going to have to adjust, and if you want to do it, find the people. It's going to be tuned perfectly because they won't have to
Definitely
tune the fights between two different scales of difficulty. It's just going to be hard. Plain and simple.
That's the biggest thing, is it makes it easier for them to really go in and make it something of its own. They can focus all their energy on this one thing for the highest level of, PvE gameplay there is.
Yeah, and it's going to be really good. Like, they can, if you have to have 20 people, they can safely assume you're going to have at least one of every class. And like you said, they can tune the mechanics exactly. Like right now, if you've got on Heroic Emercius on 10-man sucks because he's got the same number of charges, but there's only 10 of you to soak them up as opposed to 25. So it's it's a lot harder.
Yeah. Totally blanked what I was just about to say.
I'm sorry, sir.
Oh yeah, but at BlizzCon last year, I'm pretty solid for the first tier in Warlords that you're gonna want a mage if you're a Mythic Raider, because Ian Hazzikostas said so many times that he loved the mechanic of needing a mage to spell steal something. So be ready for that, Mythic Raiders. You're gonna have to have a mage spell steal something, or a DK. Don't forget, DKs can spell steal. Everyone forgets that.
I didn't even know that.
Are they going to still be able to spell steal come Warlords, though?
Yes. I don't believe Dark Semi, word I can't pronounce, is being nerfed. DK is one of my main classes, so that was one I read up on a little bit more.
Okay,
That's right. I forgot about that because I never used it because I was a bad DK.
Really, I only ever found it useful in PvP situations because we were never required to spell steal anything off a boss in raiding. But I think raids are going to be a lot more interesting now too. It's going to make me want to personally become a mythic level raider again. Well, never was a mythic, but I was a heroic level raider at one point. I want to do that again for the sense of accomplishment, and it'll be more epic. The boss fights will be different. The gear will be different. The only thing I wish that we could see in raids were our Ulduar type mechanics again, where you activate the heroic difficulty. I loved
that was really nice.
Loved that.
Yeah.
But I like their system now. But it'd be cool to have, like maybe just an achievement type thing. You can activate something and you get a mount if you kill it with this setting on. I don't know. That'd be cool. Let's see. Anything else on raiding?
They actually had somewhat of that in some of the 5-mans in Mists even.
What do you mean?
I know in Temple of the Jade Serpent, in the last boss with the Shaw, there was some in order to get the mount for all the heroic achievements, one of them was in there, and you had to activate some things in that room. But they actually make it harder.
And there's an achievement for it.
Yes.
And that shows how much attention I paid to the 5-mans in Myst.
Mm-hmm. Because they're super easy.
They are. That is true.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing I'm excited, by the way. Haven't really talked about this much, but heroics and warlords, they're going to be difficult again.
Yay.
Yeah.
I think Blizzard is well aware that we were disappointed with the lack of content. As far as 5-man goes in Myst, we had just the first initial ones, and then that was it. So I'm hoping throughout the patches we'll get more, but I'm really excited that the gear level and the difficulty is going to be more kind of like the Burning Crusade. We're going to have just a slightly difficulty curve, but better gear. I'm kind of hoping you can get attunement keys out of them too for the bosses in the raids. I can totally see them doing that again.
Oh, real quick about that, they're actually the gear you get from the heroics is going to be enough so that you can raid normal raids, whereas the gear that you got out of heroics and Pandaria really wasn't strong enough to do normal.
Yeah, I remember wiping. I think we had 108 wipes before we killed the first boss in Mogushan Vaults. That was
Wow.
yeah. So that gear level was not up to par, but yeah, it's definitely gonna be. And plus the fact that you have to be silver in training grounds in whatever spec you're playing to be able to do the heroics, so you won't have derpity derps coming into your group not knowing how to heal or tank.
You'll
Yeah.
have to be silver to queue for the randoms. You can still
Yeah.
go in
Yeah,
normally.
Well, hopefully when you're going in normally with a bunch of people, you're asking questions and you like, hey, do you have this gear? Do you know what you're doing?
And you're actually communicating while you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas, I queued with a guy in healing gear and he's tanking and he's, oh my god, paladins.
Hooray!
But yeah, so I'm happy about that, and I think they've talked about the proving grounds, how they're going to change those two. It's not just going to be wave on wave of enemies until you're just spamming all your cooldowns and trying to beat silver, but it's more going to be teaching you how to play your class. So if you know how to play your class, it should be very straightforward to get through the proving grounds, but it's going to be really good for especially boosted characters to go in and you'll learn situationally when to use specific things.
Yeah, like my priest that I have no idea how to play.
Yeah.
I don't know. I boosted up my hunter and I picked that up pretty quick, but maybe hunters are easy. I don't know.
Yeah, I boosted a paladin, so I haven't really played him too much, though.
I actually paid $60 for a second boost. I initially boosted a class that I already had, and that was just a dumb idea of me. I don't know why I wanted a second druid.
Yeah, that's what I thought you got was a second druid.
Yeah.
Well, it's because they have so many specs. You've
Exactly.
got
I have to have 2 specs on one and 2 on the other.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking. But
Have your DPS druid, and then your tank and healing druid.
yep. But I
Can you switch specs and tank or heal? Nope, I can just DPS in a different way.
Yes. We need another ranged for this fight. You need to switch.
Done.
But I at least leveled my hunter up to 60 because I wanted to make it worth it, get my professions, and now I have a goblin glider.
Those are nice.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm contemplating getting my shaman to 60 so I can pay for a boost and get the professions and stuff too.
That to me, that was the only way I could justify paying 60. Was I'm
Yeah.
getting professions from this at least. And I also couldn't bring myself to level another 30 levels up to 90. I was just like, I can't do this content again. I am one of the people who has at least everything up to 85. So it's been a good conversation, guys. Anything else you
Yes.
want to comment on before we bring this stream to a close? Any features that I may have left out that have been brought up recently?
Not I.
Yeah, I don't think so.
All right. This has been a good show. Hopefully, we'll see more see more news. Hopefully a release date. I have my fingers crossed that when they release the beta, they can at least tell us the release date from there. And beta.
Or they'll
and-
just bump the at least by this date sooner.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the whole December release date has me very terrified.
Now it's at least by November 20th. Oh, thanks, guys. Month earlier, at least. Okay, cool.
I can eat turkey and play Warlords. Yes. All right. Well, as soon as more news drops about Warlords of Draenor, keep it locked to Epic Geeks. We'll have another show for you. Thank you for watching, and happy whatever day it is when this releases.